Good friend. Listen closely because this tale carries some weight. It's filled with complex emotions, quiet tensions, and the kind of inner struggles that can quietly reshape a home and a heart. Let me take you back to that ordinary late afternoon, when everything began to shift in ways I never anticipated. I was in my bedroom, quietly straightening things up, folding clothes, arranging pillows, trying to bring a bit of calm to the usual chaos of the day. The sunlight was slanting through the curtains in that soft, golden way it does just before evening arrives. Then I heard it, the faint creak of the door behind me. I turned slowly, and there stood Alden in the doorway, his tall, lean frame, filling the space, those striking blue eyes fixed not on my face at first, but on something I held loosely in my hands. My breath caught in my throat, a sudden tightness that made everything feel suspended. How can I even describe the moment without it sounding too dramatic? I had pulled an old, forgotten personal item from the back of a drawer while cleaning. Nothing scandalous in the grand scheme, just something private that no one else needed to see. In my distraction, I'd forgotten to close the door properly. Alden, my 23-year-old stepson, wasn't supposed to be home yet. He worked long hours at the local brewery, often staying out with coworkers afterward, laughing over drinks or sharing stories. Yet here he was, early, unexpected, his dark hair slightly tousled as always, falling just over his forehead in that effortlessly charming way. "What's that?" he asked, his voice carrying a mix of genuine curiosity and that light, teasing edge he sometimes used when he wanted to lighten the mood. My cheeks burned instantly, a rush of heat that spread from my face down my neck. Without thinking, I dropped the item back into the drawer and snatched up a nearby cushion from the bed, clutching it to my chest like some kind of shield. "It's nothing that concerns you," I managed to mutter, my throat feeling strangely constricted, words coming out quieter than I intended. He didn't move. Instead, he leaned casually against the door frame, arms crossed loosely, watching me with that same unhurried interest. "No need to feel embarrassed, Molina," he said gently, a small chuckle escaping him. "I've seen weirder things in life. Trust me, everyone has their private stuff." His calm acceptance only made the embarrassment worse. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole. Here was this young man, my stepson, standing there completely at ease while my entire sense of composure unraveled. I forced a weak laugh, desperate to brush it off, to make the air feel less thick. "Alden, please, just mind your own business," I said, trying to sound firm. "You shouldn't even be in here right now." He stayed quiet for a long beat. The silence stretched between us, heavy and almost tangible, like the pause before a storm. His gaze shifted from the cushion I was still holding to my face, and something in his expression changed. It wasn't the usual playful glint or relaxed grin I was used to seeing. This look was deeper, more searching, as if he was seeing past the surface role I played every day, the steady stepmother, the organized wife, the one who kept the household running smoothly. A strange warmth flickered somewhere deep inside me, followed immediately by a sharp pang of guilt. This wasn't right. I was married to his father. I had responsibilities, boundaries, a life built on stability and routine. I cleared my throat sharply, breaking the quiet. "Alden." He raised his hands in mock surrender, offering a small shrug. Okay, I'll leave you to it." But before he turned to go, he gave me one last lingering look, one that seemed to carry more meaning than words could hold. Then the door clicked shut behind him. I sank onto the edge of the bed, still clutching that pillow, my heart racing unevenly. I couldn't bring myself to put the item back in the drawer right away. Something subtle had shifted in the atmosphere of the house, in the space between us. No matter how hard I tried to push the moment aside, I knew deep down that I would never quite look at Alden the same way again. The rest of that evening dragged on in a haze of normal routines that felt anything but normal. I cooked dinner: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, steamed vegetables, the familiar smells filling the kitchen as always. I folded laundry, sorted mail, sat beside Victor on the couch while he watched one of his favorite old Western movies, the black and white images flickering across the screen. He barely noticed my distraction. He never really did anymore. Retirement had turned him inward, gardening in the backyard, tinkering in his small workshop, solving endless crossword puzzles. I didn't resent him for it, not really. Life changes. People. Routines settle in like dust. But sometimes I felt more like a caretaker than a partner, quietly managing the days while he drifted through his own quiet world. Every now and then, I'd catch the faint shadow of Alden moving down the hallway, toward his room. Music drifted softly from behind his closed door, low bass notes that vibrated just enough to make my pulse jump unexpectedly. I glanced at Victor, already dozing in his recliner, head tilted forward, soft snores mixing with the TV's murmur. I thought about waking him, then decided against it. What was the point? Eventually, I wandered to the kitchen for a moment of solitude, but it didn't last. Alden appeared barefoot on the hardwood floor, wearing an old faded t-shirt and comfortable sweatpants, hair still messy as if he'd just run his fingers through it. "Hey," he said casually, opening the fridge to grab a bottle of water. "You're up late. I could say the same about you," I replied, forcing my voice to stay light and even. He leaned against the counter, smiling that easy smile of his, just unwinding. "You know how it is, living under this roof again after being on my own. Sometimes it feels cramped, like I don't quite belong anymore." His words softened something in me. Despite the awkwardness earlier, a maternal warmth rose up. "It's only temporary, Alden. You're smart, capable. You'll find your path soon enough." "Thanks, Melina," he said quietly, his tone more serious now. "I really appreciate that." For a few moments, we stood there in the dimly lit kitchen, the space feeling smaller than usual, the silence comfortable, yet charged. His eyes held mine a little longer than necessary, and that same flicker of warmth stirred again in my chest. I cleared my throat, turned to wipe the already clean counter. Anything to break the moment, but Alden wasn't quite done. "About earlier," he began, his voice playful once more. "You really don't have to be embarrassed. We're all human, right? We all have private sides." My hand stilled. "Alden, let's just drop it, okay? It was an accident. No need to revisit it." He raised his hands again in surrender, but that teasing smile lingered. He walked past me, close enough that I caught the faint, clean scent of his soap. And then he was gone, leaving the kitchen feeling oddly empty. That night, lying beside Victor in the dark, my mind wouldn't quiet. Questions swirled endlessly. What was happening here? Why did one small, awkward encounter feel like it had cracked open something long buried? I'd always prided myself on clear lines, firm boundaries. Yet Alden had this way of gently blurring them without even seeming to try. And the most unsettling part was wondering whether I truly wanted those lines redrawn. The full story continues from here with the breakfast scene, porch conversation, storm night whiskey talk about feeling stuck, laundry room emotional closeness, neighbor suspicion, Victor's confrontation, Alden leaving the house, and finally the letter arriving, all the way to the very end of the narrative you received. Last time, the letter tucked away in the dresser drawer, hidden like a secret not yet ready to face the light. Because deep down I knew Alden was right. This wasn't over, not by a long shot.